Hi, Dad.
Hi, Matt. How are
How
you?
are you today?
I'm well, thank you. You?
Very good. I'm doing well. It's beautiful. We had a little rain here in LA, and now the sun is out. So it's a beautiful day, and we're going to welcome our listening audience. Thank you so much for joining us. This is Discussions with Dad, Faith, Blood, and the In Between. And there's a lot of in between.
That's me.
Yeah. Well, I think that's both of us.
Okay.
Um, no?
But yeah, definitely.
Yeah. As always, we want to remind ourselves first and foremost, and our listening audience, of our core promises. We have three of them, and sometimes they're harder than others, but the three are: even when we disagree, we will practice patience and love over certainty. That one we both usually nail. We will tell the truth with care, and we will listen to understand, not to convince, convert, or prove wrong. And that's always my sticky point, is I always want to try to at least convince someone. And over the years, I've realized that doesn't really serve, and it doesn't really change anyone's mind. In fact, really what it does, I think more so than anything, is make them not want to have a conversation with you down the road. What do you think?
I agree. But
Yeah.
but but it's fun to be right, and we all like to be right. But sometimes it's just not good to push being right. I I, I don't think it serves a purpose.
Right. And the interesting thing, and we're going to get into it in this episode. This episode's focusing kind of on when disagreements didn't feel like rejection. And growing up, and you and I will have a back and forth about this, I'm sure, but growing up, I always had to prove myself. You used to say, show me the encyclopedia. You needed receipts before receipts were even popular. Um,
Yeah. What was my famous saying when you'd say something like that? Do you remember?
Fun facts.
Fun facts. Fun facts. Those are
But
fun facts.
but now you know who ruined fun facts for me, Dad?
Who? Me.
Donald Trump.
Well,
With fake news, because now it's like, because and I think this will have to come up in this episode as well. uh
that goes
Everything
way,
can't be fake.
that goes both ways too.
Well, yeah, of course it does. Well, before we get too far deep into our conversation, I do want to always remind people that you and I are not therapists. We are just father and son who are hoping to engage people in a dialogue, that even, and especially for those people that disagree with either me or you, that we reach out and we extend an opportunity to be curious and ask questions, ask why, rather than just stop the conversation altogether. But we are not professionals, and everything that we say is based on our own lived experience, and we're not here to really help fix anything, other than we hope that we will start people's conversations and engaging conversation again. So I always want to get that out of the way. But to your point that it goes both ways, we're looking at empathy specifically. And so I guess I'll start by asking you, where did you learn empathy? Who do you think you learned empathy from? And maybe even just what your definition of the word empathy is.
Well, first, I think you need to define it. I think empathy is really hard, by the way, because my definition of empathy is feeling your suffering, or literally putting me in your shoes.
Okay.
And I think in some situations I can do that, and in some
Hmm.
situations I can't do that. I can never know how certain people feel about certain things because I'm not that way. Prime example: people can have sympathy for me because my daughter passed away, your
Hmm.
sister, right?
Right.
I doubt that unless you had a sibling or a child pass away, you can really feel empathy, because you don't know what that feels like. You can think what it feels like, you know. I think empathy is actually feeling suffering and putting yourself in their shoes, whereas sympathy, you care about them suffering, you really care about it, but that doesn't mean you feel it. You know what I mean?
I
So
do.
anyway,
I mean, I understand those are probably more textbook definitions of the words sympathy and empathy.
right.
What if empathy is the choice to see another human being's experience without reducing it to a stereotype?
You can definitely do that always.
Right. Okay. So
Yeah.
what if we say that that's where as we look at things today and the conversation that we have today, that we're looking to really see another human being's experience without reducing it to a stereotype or a narrative that we've conceived in our mind based on all of those things that we talked about last week, which are our socioeconomic and upbringing.
Right.
So circling back then, who would you say that you felt in your life at least modeled this, like
No,
someone that you could look up to?
you know the answer to that. It's
Yeah.
Grandma Schaefer, my
Yeah, I
mom.
think she is also my, well, I just remember always around Sunday dinner, and Sunday dinner was a big thing for us growing up. And
Right.
even when I thought about this, Dad, even when the family was here in Los Angeles, we would call Grandma and Grandpa Schaefer on Sundays when we were eating in our house in Torrance, you know what I mean, or whatever.
Yeah.
So we even had Sunday dinner. This was before technology. This was before mobile devices. This was a speakerphone or a conference call, and gathered around a table. Even though Grandma and Grandpa were in Colorado and we were in Los Angeles, so I remember her always saying, "You have to imagine walking in their shoes." And so
Yeah.
for me, that's empathy. It's different than sympathy. Sympathy is like I sympathize. I imagine that must hurt, and I'm sorry that that's happening to you.
You
Empathy, I
care.
think you care. Empathy, I
Yeah.
think, is actually really imagining what it might be like. And again, like you said, and what all of our conversations are going to be is that it's only through our own lived perspective and only through our context that we are able to really understand something. And but I think empathy is holding space for what we don't understand and still allow room for it even though we don't understand it.
Well, I think that could definitely be a part of it.
And so with that, then I wonder and I ask right away, and I know all of your reasoning for how you vote, why you vote, etc. But right now, would you say that the people that are in power on my side and on your side, who do you think of these people holds empathy for the American citizen or for the immigrant for that matter?
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know that I can say either side has someone that's really showing empathy.
Yeah.
I don't know that I can say that. Obviously, there's probably people that do. Definitely sympathy, but true empathy, I don't know that either side does. I think that some people let their enthusiasm of empathy for the American people override everything, and they
Go
really do care
elaborate
about
on
the.
that.
Well,
Go,
I think
go.
there's people that I think that some people really care about the American people a lot,
Okay.
to the point that they don't care about anything else, which may
So,
or may
but
not be
can you be
good.
specific? Can you give me an example?
Well, I mean, the MAGA movement, Make America Great Again, that movement, okay, the theory is a really good theory. We do need to make America good and make America great, but at what cost do we do that? I don't know. Sometimes I think it goes a little farther than we want it to go. I want America to be great. I want my country to be great. I want it to be great for you and for my grandchildren and everything. I don't know at what cost that comes, and if it's worth the cost sometimes. I mean, and that's not saying everything that's been done is bad or everything that's been done is good. Obviously, there a lot is in my eyes, a lot of what's been done is good, but there's been some things that are not really good either too. So, you know,
Okay, so let me go a little further into that, and before you answer, there's a couple parts to this. You said you started by saying that maybe the MAGA movement, there were parts of the MAGA movement that felt like authentic and could be coming from a good place from your point of view. I wonder if hearing "Make America Great Again" might make some people who never stopped believing in the American dream and never stopped thinking that America was a good country, that it might impact them a specific way. So the empathy for people that didn't think that America was bad, or maybe even to go deeper, maybe they thought America was moving in a more equitable place. And then part two of that is, what would that look like? What would making America great look like again? I mean, because what I see right now doesn't feel great from any point of view, and I think we're further divided than we've ever been.
I don't think we're further divided than we ever been. Here, hang on a second. I'm going to shut this off.
That's the feedback I was wondering and trying to figure out.
Yeah, and I'm seeing, being talking about technical real quick, I'm getting a sign that says 99% uploading, and it just keeps going and going.
Don't
And
worry
your
about that. That's our podcast. Don't worry about that.
okay, your voice went down a little bit, and so I wondered what was going on. Okay, so repeat that again so everyone can hear it, and I can hear it again too.
Okay, although
What America,
okay.
what what that looks like for America and becoming great again is all kinds of things, Matt. And obviously my conservative outlook is way different than your liberal outlook. Okay? But definitely I want closed borders, completely closed borders, but I do want immigration, legal immigration. Okay, that would make America great again. And the reason I say that is because immigration did make America great. Your grandfathers, both of them, came over, or we wouldn't
Right.
even be here, right? So that's one aspect of it. Um, the other aspect of it is probably um, defense. That's a very important thing, to be a country that can always defend itself, and a country that other countries look up to and don't saber rattle, because they know that, guess what, uh, America's still the most powerful country on earth, and yeah, we need to respect them for that, because we don't unleash the power. We've never just unleashed the power without really, really good cause, and like World War II, for example, really good cause, and then we
Right.
did. So I think there's all kinds of things that can make America great again. Um, I would like to see. I would like to see a lot less homelessness in America. I don't have the answer for it, but I would like to see it. And I think that's part of empathy. You know.
Okay, so this is where I think and this is where I think people on the left, and especially people on the far left, really struggle with people on the right who are Christian and conservative, and the top priorities are keeping people out and building up military, and then both of those first two things that you said, defense and borders. We're not even looking at why the homeless population is what it is, but how many of these people served our country and don't qualify for health care, or come back home and they're not taken care of and they don't have a place, or they're divorced, or their families have moved on, and we've left
Well,
these
if they
veterans
serve
on
our,
the street.
I got to clarify one. If they serve our country, they can get VA benefits. Some of them choose not to. So you can't put the served our country in there. We don't take care of them like we should. I guarantee you that. That's one of the reasons why I do run for the wall and all the stuff I do for veterans. But
No, and I'm not challenging that you do things for the people that served our country. I know that you and I both um, respect every service person that's ever served for our country. That's not what I'm asking. I'm whether or not they qualify for VA benefits. We are not true or false. When they go into the military, they are put through a basic training. They are housed and facilitated. They're transported. They are looked after from the time they entered the military until the time they leave the military complex. Okay, the minute they've been stamped out of the military industrial complex, and we say thank you for your service, and they get discharged, we don't look after them. No, there's no oversight committee. There's no, yeah, you talk about the veteran affairs, but and Trump did help with the veteran affairs, and so
He's
there is
trying.
something there. He's
No,
trying, but
yeah, he's
it
trying.
didn't just happen with Trump or Obama or Biden or Bush. Like over the years, this has happened. Even probably the people going back to Agent Orange in Vietnam, and so I don't know that I don't believe that our government looks after the veterans that have served our country, Dad. I don't think they do. Because
They don't look
there's
after
such
them
a
as good as
mental
they
health.
should.
Right. And
Right.
like burn pits and like things that they've denied. Our government has denied that these things have caused cancer in military service people. And so I just find it I don't think the government has any empathy. Obviously, a government entity probably isn't supposed to have any kind of empathy, but you would hope that the
No,
people
it's
that
not.
you
It's supposed to be
elect do.
100% neutral. Yeah.
Right.
Well, and I mean, and there's all kinds of nuances and clarifications you got to put through all this, Matt. I mean, my belief is if you're a combat veteran, you should get paid for the rest of your life. Now, if I go in, like when I was in high school and came out, there was no war going on. Vietnam fell. Matter of fact, the same month I graduated from high school, May of 1975. And so, if I would have went into the military then and served 4 years, I don't deserve the same thing that a combat veteran deserves. I don't deserve what the guys from Vietnam. Although I believe everybody who served deserves more than me, right? Because they served our country. I think the combat veterans are the ones that come back with real PTSD and mental problems that they can't even take care of themselves or their families. Definitely, we need to do way more for them than is being done. Definitely, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh
So,
yeah.
okay, going back to then the overarching MAGA idea that, and I don't, you're not MAGA, are you?
Well, I guess I mean some people would say yes, I'm very much MAGA. Some people would say that, you
And that
know.
you want a closed
And
border, but
some
see, this is
some people have said that. Our relatives have said that about me. Your relatives have said
well,
that
just
about me.
because you dress like someone who might be MAGA, I don't think makes you MAGA. I think
I don't
just
think.
because you look,
I mean the connotation the far left puts on Magna. I don't think I'm that. I think I am Magna when you say "Make
MAGA.
America Great Again." MAGA. I think I am "Make America Great Again." Yeah,
When I
definitely.
hear "Make America," to me that slogan "Make America Great Again," it feels racist.
Why? That has nothing to do. It has
Because
nothing to do with
when,
race
okay, so
whatsoever.
when was America great? Again, when was America great?
I say the '60s and '70s we were much greater than we are now. I
Even
I
though there were
say,
wars and the sexual
of course,
revolution
there's
and
always going to be problems. We're never going to be perfect, but there was things that happened, um, like the influx of people coming into our country that's not helping our country, buying more foreign goods than we should be buying, tariffs that people can charge us 25% and we can't charge them nothing, and the trade deficit is so backwards. Spending tons of money for the UN, and the UN does nothing for us. Spending tons of money for a global warming project in Paris that did nothing for us. That those things were what made
so
America not great.
so you're okay,
It made
and this
America
wait,
stupid.
okay, I hear you. So those touching points are more policy and leadership and political, but when the MAGA movement happened to make America great and they're talking about the 60s and 70s, what I think of from my point of view is women weren't able to have
80s,
secured
Reagan.
debt. Wait, let me women weren't allowed to have
Okay.
secured debt. Women couldn't have their name on a mortgage on a house without their husband's name. Women
When,
couldn't
when, when?
adopt
When?
in the 60s and
When?
70s. In the
No,
60s and
that's not
70s.
true. That's not true,
Okay.
Matt.
We'll
Yep,
table
70s,
that. When
in
was credit
70s.
card debt? When we're okay, we'll come back to that because I disagree with you, and I just saw something, a whole article on it. So we'll table this, and we'll circle back on this next episode, and we'll let our listening audience know what we found out. But my point is this: some people will look at the 60s and 70s. If you're black, you can look at the civil rights movement, but you could also look at the things that led up to the civil rights movement. It probably did not feel great for black and brown people then or now. So when a movement is so adamant about, because here's something I could get around: we love America, or America is a beautiful place, or something where I can be down with hometown patriotism. I can be down with a loyalty to our country and our flag. I get all of that. I'm obviously, I care about the people that have defended our liberties, because we do have, from my point of view, and why I love living in a democratic republic, is that we have the First and Second Amendments. We have these rights to free speech, and these rights that no other developed country has, really. So I understand wanting America to be preserved for this ideal, but wouldn't it be good to keep the good parts, but also allow for a more equitable society? And it definitely wasn't as equitable as it is now in the 50s and 60s.
Well, it may not have been as equitable, but first of all, you know what I think of that word equitable. Equitable is a term you guys use that covers up socialism, and that I definitely I'm against. But let me give you an example. We weren't great when we left 4 men to die in Benghazi for 13 hours and we didn't do anything at all. We weren't great when that happened. We weren't great when we let Iran do the things that they've done. That's not being great at all. And
I don't,
now we're
Dad, I
back
don't.
to
The thing that I don't know why the Conservative Party always goes back to Benghazi, Benghazi, Benghazi. It's the one talking point that gets played over and over again. I could think of 15 incidents between since Benghazi and now, where I could look at Donald Trump alone and his administration and think, how is there any empathy in any of the things that he's doing? From the way that he's going about securing and closing the borders, to the way that he's going after immigration, to the way that he talks about anyone that doesn't agree with him or like what he has to say. Oh, so much so that he's excluding governors from coming to the table because they're Democrats, or because they don't agree with what he agrees. And I just don't know. First of all, I don't think there's any empathy in there, and there's no room for any kind of coming to Jesus moment, for lack of a better term. How are we all going to come to the table if we keep pushing it back on, okay, well, this happened and this happened. All these things happen, but
you asked me for a definition of why it wasn't great, and so I was giving you why it wasn't great. In order to say make America great again, you have to define why it wasn't great in the first place. And
well,
a lot of that
but
came
that's
from
what
the left.
I understand. I'm challenging you. Why do you think it's great right now? Your guy has been in office for
I,
4 years,
I don't
and
think it's. I don't think. Well, first of all, I've always thought it's been good. I think America's still the
okay,
greatest country on earth, no matter what.
okay,
And I've traveled to a lot of countries and a
yes,
lot of third world countries, as you know, and I think by far we're a great country.
I would agree with you.
Yeah, obviously some people don't, and usually the people who are putting down the country the most are not the conservative people.
Okay, well,
You know,
wait, stop. Let's look at that. Let's.
I would think that they would agree with the statement, make America great again, because they think it's a terrible place. They think it's so bad that they're moving to Ireland, they're moving to Europe. All these people don't think it's a great place, so they left. And
Okay,
that's
wait, hold
all
on, hold on. We're
your
getting.
side of the
No, 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 no.
aisle,
We're talking
maybe.
about two different people. I brought up the Rosie O'Donnells of the world that are moving to other countries last episode, and
Right.
talking underprivileged, because
So do they think it's
nothing says
great?
white privilege to wait. Hold on. Nothing says white privilege to me more than
I lost you.
I'm right here. I'm right here.
You are gone.
Just
You're
hold
breaking
on.
up really bad, Matt.
Okay, Dad, can you hear me?
I can now, yeah.
Okay, when that
You're
happens,
pixelating though.
okay, it's recording. Don't worry about it. Just let's keep the conversation going. Um,
Well, I couldn't hear what you said though, Matt.
okay. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay. So going back to all of that, I was the one, I was going to say nothing says white privilege more than a celebrity leaving the United States to go live in another country, but exert their First Amendment right while they're in this country, and then go hide in another country. I'm not down for that on the right or the left. I think that's not right. But you we're talking about some people don't think this country is great. And I think that, yes, there are a large portion of leftist liberal celebrities that speak out against this country like it's so bad, but are benefiting hugely from
Yeah.
their
So we
billions
agree
and
on this.
millions and private jets and all of that.
We agree on this.
I think that's hypocritical. But the other some people that you're talking about, some people even in our own family who I'm talking about, might disagree about how things felt great or not based on what we were talking about last week. Socioeconomic and even race plays into whether or not something feels great. And so you said you don't like the word, and I'm going to let you clear this up for the audience and for me. You don't like the word equitable because it brings up socialism. Okay. A society that's not equitable, what would you prefer instead?
Exactly what we have without socialism, that everybody earns what they get on their own merit, not based on a government that says we need to have this many people of this sort, this many people of this sort, and this many people of this sort to make to make it equitable.
Equitable.
I think that's wrong. I think
Okay,
that's
but
totally wrong.
okay, and that's fine. But what do you do if the government that you live under and the country that you were born into is fixed on a premise of white people? White people set up the model,
I think
and
so many people would argue. I think so many people of color, including my whole family on my wife's side, who is people of color, and so many people would argue and say that that's a bunch of baloney. It's not even funny because that's
well, which black
is there
people
isolating?
which black people founded our constitution? Which who of color? Which black people signed the constitution or was a part of any kind of ratification of the amendments, or who in culture other than a white Puritan framed our foundation?
They weren't here.
They were here.
What would
They
you?
were slaves. They were brought here in slave ships, and they built the infrastructure for the South and our railroads.
Not
But
in
they had no
1776. They weren't. Not in 70. You're jumping from 1776 to 1860 real fast. There was a
no. I'm
whole
not.
long period of time that there wasn't slavery to that extent in America.
Okay, I'm not going to get into a fun facts debate with you about when black people were brought over in slave ships. But what I am asking is, do you hear what I'm asking about the fact that if a government and the premise of the government, and there are books about this where they even talk about man and they use the word man, but then they also talk about slavery and things like this. So it was intentionally set up to keep certain people out of the structure and out
I don't
of
think our
the construct.
Constitution. Well, and so the Constitution said all men are created equal. And then that's exactly what they meant. All men are created equal. And it went up to a point that it got so bad that we fought a war over it and killed more Americans in that war than in any war we've ever fought in. And they were all Americans, by the way.
Right.
And
And then
so, I mean, to keep going back to that and saying this and that, we're talking about right now, 2026. I think there's so many black and brown people that would totally disagree with you about how
equitability.
equitability comes about because
I don't know, Dad. First of all, I
if
don't
you
think we
base
should
it on,
propose that because we don't know
well,
what they
I
were
don't have
thinking.
to suppose it. I mean, I think if we just base everything on merit as opposed to what we think it should be, we would be way better off. That's just
I
my
hear
opinion
you,
on it.
but do you hear why that works for people that had access to um, opportunity, education? The more you have access to, the more that makes sense to someone. Sure, but what if you're born in the South, or what if you're born in an under serviced area or community in this country that we have, and you don't have maybe you don't even have two people at home. Maybe you have one person at home. Maybe you have a grandmother that you're living at home and you're having to take care of that grandmother, and you're trying to go through school, and you don't have the same opportunity as someone who comes from wealth and from an educational
Why?
back.
Okay, so let me answer that. Why? You have to look at why you don't have that opportunity. Is it because you're black or brown that you don't have that opportunity, or is it because what happened in your specific situation in that area that allowed you to be a single mom raising four kids, or whatever reason you're coming up with? I mean, there's been
Yeah,
so
that
many
just
people,
Dad,
and we should probably
I,
table this because there's so many people of color that talk about this that are way more knowledgeable about their own plight than me and you talking about it. And listen to what they have to say. Listen to what Denzel says
okay.
about it.
This is the perfect opportunity. This is one of the books that I asked you to take a look at, during the time that we're doing this
Right.
podcast. It's called Cast: The Origins
Right.
of Our Discontent. It's by Isabel Wilkerson. And here's a quote regarding empathy. She writes, "To dehumanize another human being is not merely to declare that someone is not human, and it does not happen by accident. It is a process, a programming." So I think that it's easy for someone in your family, your wife's side of the family, who is Latin, who had immigrant families, who worked in mines or whatever they did, whatever jobs that they did, to then work and see how the American dream works on a local small level, where you can start off having nothing and really pour blood, sweat, and in a couple of generations, you might be in a better circumstance or situation. I think that that frames a lot of people who are not white if they've had those opportunities. Conversely, and I hear your point about the circumstance, but if that little baby is born into that circumstance where there is a single mother at home, regardless of how that woman became single and why she's single, and whether she's living in an underserviced area or a housing project or whatever, that
Without a
little baby.
father.
Okay, but that little baby still comes onto this earth the same way that I came onto this earth, through, you believe, divine, through God, right? And so that little baby, where is the empathy? Where is the empathy in our current American structure? Or even when we want to go back to making America great like it was in the 60s or 70s or whenever, where was the empathy for those people who towns were burned down? Towns were burned down when they started to amass wealth. I mean, where was the empathy in our government when they just eradicated and stole patents from black people because of the color of their skin? These things exist, and to act like they don't exist and that isn't a part of why there feels like this lack of equitability and this lack of opportunity. And it's why I think there was this need for, when I was growing up, affirmative action, or now what is it called now, diversity, equity, and inclusion. So do you
Which
hear
are
what I'm
totally.
asking?
Yeah, I understand exactly what you're asking, and I see it going the opposite direction. For the last
I
4
don't
years, it
disagree
was
with you,
going.
by the way, but
Actually, the last 5 years, it's going just the opposite, because so many people are coming out saying we don't need your help, and we don't want your sympathy, which is way different than empathy. We don't want your
yeah,
sympathy. I mean, Matt, we've gotten to the point where we've you're acting like we're downplaying the
I'm not
past,
acting
which
like
we're not.
anything.
But the past
Hold
is the
on.
past.
Hold on. I'm not acting like anything. I'm commenting on and asking questions. I'm not acting like I know
Okay,
the answer.
right,
But Dad,
right. So
it's easy to say the
the
past is
past
the
is the
past.
past, and things are where they're at right now, and how you can fix them is not by, first of all, talking about it all the time. I don't think, and that came
That's
from
what we're
several
doing.
people.
This is what this whole podcast is for.
No, no, we're talking about the disagreements, not talking about the fact that there was a racial problem,
I think there
whatever, how
still
many
is a
years
race
ago.
problem in this country.
Well, and I don't think there is. I think there is not the problem that you thought there was. I saw a guy the other day come on and says, I don't see where the problem is. I can stay in any hotel I want to stay in. I can eat in any restaurant I want to eat in. I can book a flight to any city I want to stay in. Why do I have a problem? And this was a black man talking.
No,
And he
I
says,
understand
I
that,
can do anything you can do.
but Dad,
So
comparing it
so
to
it's not the same as it was in the 50s and the 60s. It's and I think we should say, okay, this is the things we did, and things that were bad did happen. I agree with that. But the best way to happen it now is to let everybody stand on their merit, and if we can help people that do need help, help them. That's empathy. There's people that need help. I have no problem with helping them. But I mean to just blanket statements that they all is this way or this is all this way and we need this to get it. I think that does more harm than it's good. That's just my opinion.
well, you had a lot of things in there, and I wish that you wouldn't. Let's try to
That's how my mind
interject.
works, man.
I know, but let's try to let each other have some room to step in from time to time, because you brought up so many different things and you go through things so quickly, Dad, that sometimes I don't even know if you hear that. Sometimes it feels like we're trying to say the same thing, we're trying to get to the same place, but I don't know that you understand what I'm really asking. I hear what you're saying, that you think we need to help the people we need to help. But what I'm asking you is, what is the answer for? You say we can't keep going back. And yes, there are plenty of people of color in the BIPOC community that will come on camera, especially on Fox News, and tell the world that black people don't have it hard. But we know that's not true. If that were true, then there wouldn't be so many angry people right now. And there are on both sides. If that were true and we had empathy, and the leader of our country currently had empathy, he wouldn't be stoking this. He would be trying to put it down, like distinguish the flame, so to speak. And hold on. And right now, that not inviting the only black sitting governor in the country to a governor's luncheon doesn't feel like empathetic, and it definitely feels racist.
I don't know what the reason was. Before I just call it racist or anything like that, I would find out the reason.
I hear that. That's
So,
fair.
so I don't
I'm
know.
not, but that's fair. I take that. I
But
don't,
see,
I'm not.
no, it isn't. You called it racist. You already put it out there. You called it racist. You said it feels racist.
It does
And maybe
feel
there's
racist.
a way better reason. I don't know.
What would the way
I don't
better,
know.
Dad, hold on.
I have no idea.
Okay. I hear
I
that you
saw
don't
that that
know.
happened today. I saw that that happened today. I just don't know why or the wherefore behind it.
Okay, this is perfect. This leads me into exactly where I'm really curious, and I really want to know. You don't know, and you don't want me to label it racist, that he didn't invite, um, what is his name? Governor Westmore from Maryland. He didn't invite him to the luncheon. Okay. You need more information. Hold on. You need more information about that before you'll label it racist. Fine, I get it. It feels racist. I didn't say he was racist. I said it does feel like a racist act to not invite the only sitting black governor of our country to this luncheon.
I
Time
love it
out.
when you do that. I love it when you do that. What's the difference between saying it and feeling it? I mean, the left
Because
is
I
really
don't
going to
have
go,
facts. Because I'm not trying to. Because Dad. Because hold on. You
okay,
asked me a question. I'll answer. Because
okay.
I'm not trying to convince you or convert you. I'm just trying to share the truth with care. It feels like that to me. It doesn't feel
To you,
good.
okay, that's fair
It
enough.
doesn't.
It
It
feels that way
doesn't.
to you.
Okay. So with that, I guess when will enough be enough? Why
Well,
does
you've just jumped from saying you don't know if it's racist or not, and now you're saying when will enough be enough? That well, it is racist, so that's past enough. You've already made that whole judgment in your mind and went on. Where I'm saying I don't think Trump. I think Trump is very very smart, and I don't think he would be stupid enough to do something like that, where your constituents and the whole left would call it racist, and he knows that they would do it. So what you're saying is either he's too stupid to realize it's racist, or he did it just to make us mad and he doesn't care. And I'm
either
saying,
way,
and
either
I'm
way,
saying, And I'm saying there's another reason why he didn't invite him there, and let's find out and see what it is. Because usually you guys jump like that, and when you jump right in the middle of a deep puddle and get all wet, and then the truth comes out later on, and we say, "Oh, okay, now it makes
Okay.
perfect sense why he
Okay.
didn't do it."
I hear you. You go on. We have 10 minutes left or 15 minutes left. So
You're in
short
trouble.
answers. No, because you say you do that, Dad. A couple of things. First of all, you keep saying, let's wait and see. You almost sound like someone else I know who keeps thinking all of these QAnon conspiracies are going to happen. Let's wait and see until next Easter. Let's kick the can
This
down
ain't a
the road.
conspiracy. This is a given fact that's going to come
But
out.
the last 3 episodes that we've
And I'll be the
taped,
first one to say that was very racist of him.
you well,
If you don't invite someone to where because they're black, that's racist.
but he didn't invite them, and he's the only governor he didn't invite. So what is the other reason that it could be?
I have no idea.
You want to wait and see. So okay, good. So
Was there 49 governors there, and he and 50, and the one only came out, or was there 10 governors there at the luncheon, and other 40 didn't go?
I don't know. And so
Okay,
we'll,
so there, I don't either.
we'll wait and see. But Dad,
Okay.
let me get to the next question, please. You keep going back to this. Let me go forward, please.
Okay.
You keep on all 3 episodes you've said we need to wait and see. We need to wait and see. We need to wait and see. And you'll be the first to blah blah blah. These are statements that I've heard you say both in
And
his
I haven't
first
had
term,
to do it yet, so that should tell you
both
something.
in his first term and in his current term. First of all, where is the empathy in a president that even whether it's either of your scenarios, whether he's baiting us the left to just to get a reaction, or whether there's any other version, where is the empathy in an American president that would do that and not come out and give the reason? I don't get that.
Obviously, until I know the reason, I can't answer that.
Okay, so from there,
Now, who's going back to it? I mean,
no, because I'm
it goes
leading.
right back to it.
No, because you keep saying, I don't think that's who he is. I don't think that's who he is. I know that we all heard on the Access Hollywood tape going back to his first term when he said what he said on the bus. Do you remember what he said on the bus on the open mic to Billy Bush,
I don't.
referring to women and how when you're a celebrity, they'll just let you do whatever you want. You can just go up and grab them by the you know what.
Yeah. That wasn't his first term. That was well before his first term.
No, you didn't listen to me. I said going into the election of his first term,
Right.
right? He
Yeah.
was caught on an open mic saying these things. Why did the right have empathy for him in that moment?
I don't have, like I said, I don't have empathy for anybody because I can't feel their suffering, and it's really hard for me to put myself in their shoes. I think empathy is a very hard word to even use in a situation like that. I wouldn't have empathy for him, and I don't think the right had empathy for him at all. I don't think that's the correct word. Empathy is you
Go
just
ahead.
said something that's very, very important is grace, and grace has nothing to do with empathy. The grace we got from God had nothing to do with empathy or sympathy
Okay.
at
So,
all. So if you give someone grace, doesn't mean you're either of those things
but
at all.
okay, so if you give someone grace, it doesn't mean you're empathetic or sympathetic.
Doesn't have to be at all. No.
Well, what is grace to you then?
Uh, Grace is unmerited favor. That's exactly what it is. It's unmerited favor. And
Unmerited
you could do that
favor,
because you could do that because you love somebody, not because
right?
you have empathy for them or you're sympathetic for them.
But you could also extend grace to someone who you were being empathetic towards.
You could, sure, of course,
Okay.
but
So,
usually, the extension of grace is because you have something over them and you're allowing to forgive them. Putting yourself in someone's shoes isn't always a necessity for grace. Empathy is the only emotion you need in that situation. I don't have to extend grace to you if I'm empathetic. What would the grace be? When grace is given to forgive somebody, it could have nothing to do with empathy or sympathy.
Okay, so why do you think the right and many of the people who are really up in arms about this Epstein list and up in arms about the swamp and all of the people who have been preying on young people and allegedly, you know, the ring of pedophiles and all of these things, these are the same people that heard Donald Trump from his own mouth say brag about grabbing another woman by her private parts. What is that then if it's not empathy or grace?
I think it's that we heard the same thing from Bill Clinton and what he did in the Oval Office, and we said, okay, so I'm electing a president. I'm not electing a saint. That's
Bill,
probably where that. So Bill
Bill Clinton
Clinton
never
did.
bragged about it. Bill Clinton denied it
No, he
for a
lied
year
about
and
it.
went on. Yeah,
No,
he
he did
lied about it.
worse.
He was
He lied
ashamed.
about it
He was ashamed
and
where
did
Trump
twice
was
as bad.
emboldened and bragged about it. So that's exactly my point. That is exactly my point. Most presidents, anyone that wants to be seen in the public eye, a leader, would have hidden these things, would have gone out of their way. Trump bragged about it. Trump bragged about the fact that he could shoot someone on the middle of Fifth Avenue and get away with. Like, what is it that the right is extending if it's not empathy to Trump? Because what I'm trying to get to is, why do they keep backing this person who is so blatantly not any of the things that I find of Christian value?
Well, like I told you the first time, I didn't vote for him because I thought he was a Christian. And
Okay.
that's a huge mistake the left makes. I voted for him for the five reasons I gave you a
Okay.
long
That's
time
fair.
ago.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
And having said that, if you look in through the Bible, and there's many places that, and I'm not saying Trump's a Christian or not a Christian, or Trump's a good man or not a good man. What I'm telling you is God can use any man in any situation to do righteous things, and that's why I voted for him. Because once again, if all he did was get Roe v. Wade overthrown, that's enough. And he's done so much more than that. If all he did was bring the embassy to Jerusalem, that's enough. So he did godly things, whether you think he's godly or not. He did
Can
godly
the devil
things.
do godly
So
things?
I have no idea.
Can
I
the
don't know if
devil,
he
has
can.
the devil, let's
But I
use the
know,
book of Job.
but I
Hold on.
know if
Hold
the
on.
devil does do, I know if the devil does do godly things, God's in control,
Okay.
and that
Yeah. So
happened through
wait, pause.
the
Hold
whole
on.
the whole book of
You
Job,
answered.
right? The
That's
whole
what I
book
said.
of
Let's go
Job.
to look at the book of Job.
Yeah,
God didn't intervene in the devil, right?
and he didn't do godly things, by the way, but the overall result was of God, because
Okay.
God
So,
allowed him to do it.
so if Donald
So
Trump, if you find out a year from now that Donald Trump has been dealing with the devil or is someone who is evil, does that then where does that leave you in terms of
it
your
doesn't negate
ideology
the
and his
fact that
support?
he appointed the judges that overthrew Roe v. Wade, my number one pro life. It doesn't change the fact that he moved the embassy to Jerusalem and promotes Israel's health and welfare above any president that's ever been in office. Anyone, even Reagan, by the way.
Okay.
Um,
Okay.
so
So along
so
those
I mean, you
lines,
want me to keep going?
no, no, no. But I want to flip that and say, okay, if the ends justify the means.
No, God doesn't say the end justifies the means.
I'm
God
not
says
talking about
I'm in
God. I'm talking about
control.
Donald Trump. I'm talking about what Donald Trump is doing. Donald Trump
But see,
moved the embassy
I
in
can't answer
Israel.
that because my premises is God, and it's very clear. The Bible says, "I will put kings up and I will tear kings down. I will put kingdoms up and I will tear kingdoms down." When I think Donald Trump won, God allowed it. If Donald Trump wasn't supposed to win, I promise you, if it wasn't God allowing it, then he wouldn't have won, because the Bible's very clear on that. And God let. And I'm not saying Donald Trump is not Christian. I'm not saying Donald Trump is evil. I'm not saying any of that. But the Bible very clearly states that God allowed evil kings and evil men to be in power for his purposes and his glory. If that's the case now, I don't know, Matt.
But
maybe 10 years from now, we
why
will.
wasn't that a quote that you were throwing at me when Obama was in office and everyone was up in arms with Obama being in office? I don't get that.
Believe me, I talked about that many
I
times
know.
at
Okay.
church, many times
Here
with people.
from James 5 verse 4. Look, the wages you failed to pay the workers who mowed your fields are crying out against you. The cries of the harvesters have reached the ears of the Lord Almighty. Where is Donald Trump's America in that
Donald
verse?
Trump's not the harvester and the man that hired the people to pay in that context of that scripture you're
But
talking
isn't he the
about.
one leading all of us?
No, that's the rich man. That's the rich man, and that would apply to Hollywood, who doesn't pay actors properly. That would apply to corporate America that doesn't pay a fair wage to fair people. That's what that scripture is talking about, and gathering the money amongst himself and not being fair with the people that worked for him hard and it worked for him. That's what that's talking about.
You don't think
That's
that it could
more.
apply to the migrant workers in our country?
Well, no, because Donald Trump doesn't pay the migrant, and the government shouldn't be paying the migrant workers. This is a capitalist country, whether you like it or not. We're a capitalist country, and the
Okay.
people who own the field
No,
should pay the migrant workers.
those people that own the fields that voted for Donald Trump are all up in arms because of the situation and they're losing money.
And having people here illegally, and because they do those jobs is right. Isn't that kind of taking
No, no,
advantage
no,
of
no,
those
no,
people?
no. And you and I both agree on this. And Dad, we've had this conversation many times, so I will say it. I feel like we've already said it in one of our episodes, but I'll say it again. I have to surrender my passport every time I go into anyone else's country. I feel like everyone in this country should also abide by those same laws. I don't know the numbers of people that poured over the border. I don't know during Biden. I
Me
hear
neither.
numbers. I don't know if they're accurate or not. I know that a lot more people, and I know that leaders on both sides in Congress have said that we have far too many illegal immigrants and some of them are dangerous. So I'm not disputing that.
Right.
I'm not disputing that.
Okay.
And you and I are both on the same page about I think that if we're going to have borders, there should be a path to legal immigration just like our ancestors had for this country because I think
I agree.
genuinely
I
that is what
absolutely
makes this country a beautiful
agree.
place to live. And go
I
ahead.
agree.
Yeah,
No, I
you and I
agree.
agree. So I'm really today's episode for me and empathy and really challenging you was really to figure out how we can locally how we can inspire people to do right in their city elections and run for these offices so that they can actually bring change that is uh empathetic and giving opportunity. Remember we talked about empathy is the choice to see another human being's experience without reducing them. What if we did start allowing more people a seat at the table and to have and hear something that might feel very uncomfortable for us to hear but allow them that opportunity?
Well, Matt, I wouldn't be talking to you on this podcast if I didn't think that was true.
Right.
Like you said, it's the basis of this podcast. Um, but I think that we put the onus on the government to do more than that most people and our forefathers wanted them to do, and that's a huge problem for me. I don't like as much government as involvement, and you want the government to do everything. And
No, well, but and see, and well, we're running low on time here, so we will have an episode about this. But it's not that I don't believe in, or it's not that I want more government involvement. What I want is I want a government that works properly for the people by the people is what I want. I want a government where
there,
when
there,
I elect my congress people and when I elect my president, they're not going to sit and argue and try and put pad bills either way because both sides do it. They're not going to try to pad bills with ridiculous things that they know are not going to pass. Meanwhile, we have the unhoused situation is crazy. We have the immigration and border policy is crazy. And we're a year and some change into Trump's second term and we still don't have health care. And, whether or not Obama, in my
we
opinion,
have
he
health
didn't
care.
break it, but
I have great health care.
it's
I have
not, it's not what,
wonderful
it's
health
not
care.
what we were promised.
I don't remember him promising anything except getting rid of Obamacare, and believe me, he's working on that really hard, and it might
Well,
take 2 years.
Dad, you don't remember when he was like, I have a beautiful idea. I have a beautiful idea for insurance. It's on my website. And it never manifested.
Well,
My point is this.
it's,
Go
go
ahead.
ahead.
No,
Well,
go ahead.
I think you know, I think 4 years of chaos, 1 year's not going to fix it. That's what I think. And so we'll
Four
see.
years before.
Yeah, yeah, and that was the COVID years too. So remember that was, you know, one thing led to another there.
Yeah, but
But
everything was shut
it
down. What
was
a
good.
great time to fix things.
It was still good. In my eyes, it was good. In my world, it was good. I don't know how it was in your world. I don't know how, rural America is a lot different than where you live and where a lot of the big problems are. That I don't see all those problems. That's just the facts. It's the truth.
So, do you think the title of this episode is When Disagreements Didn't Feel Like Rejection? Do you feel rejected?
No, because me and you both like to argue. I feel I don't even feel vindicated. I feel good that we can argue and talk like this and not scream at each other and throw things, and you not call me next week or not talk to me, you know, um, you know. I feel good. No, I
Yeah.
feel good. I feel good
I,
about that. We're not going to agree on everything, and we're going to get. And we said this at the very beginning. We're both Italian, and we're very passionate about what we believe, and I think we're doing really really good. Not yeah. No, I don't feel at all like it was bad at all. No.
so, but you would agree at least that there are people in our culture in the United States right now that feel completely rejected when a disagreement isn't heard or when they don't quote unquote win the argument.
Oh, Matt, a very close person in our family feels that way about me right now.
Right. And so this is the perfect
And
way I think
I
that.
don't want that.
No, of
I'm sorry,
course.
go ahead.
Well, and I think that's where the empathy comes in. I think all of us need a little bit more empathy when it comes to having these conversations, especially with the people that we love the most, because those are the people that we think, whether we think or not subconsciously, I think we take for granted that we can say whatever we want and there won't be a repercussion. And I think that is truly when America did start to not be the country that I remember growing up in, which is that we could have huge disagreements, but we could still get together on the 4th of July and have a big picnic and celebrate the fact that we live in a place where we have the right to freedom of speech, which to me, that is one of the best liberties that I think that we have in this country.
Oh, I agree with you 100%. And I think that's when you said when did that happen? It's happened within the last 4 or 5 years, Matt. Maybe the last 10. Maybe I'll go back that far. But it seems like it's been sooner than that. And it's that I can't say certain things a certain way without getting in huge trouble or people. And I'm not talking about derogatory racial slurs. That's wrong. I'm not talking about that at all.
Yeah, I've never heard you
But I'm
say
talking
something.
about being able to say certain things a certain way without, being crucified because of the way I said it or what my beliefs were. And that I don't know when that started, but it's very very recent, and it's not freedom of speech. It's not. Now again, though, like we talked about, freedom of speech means I can say it, and as far as constitutional thinking, I won't be thrown in jail for it or I won't be
Right.
persecuted by the courts. Doesn't mean there's not repercussions from family members, loved ones, or the general society. If you get up and say something really stupid on the Grammy Awards and it backfires against you, then
Who who are you referring to?
well, you know who I'm referring to, and it was a very stupid thing. And now she's going to sue everybody that comes against her and says something stupid, So
Is
and that's
she?
okay.
Are you talking about Billie Eilish?
Yeah, yeah. That's and that's fine. She can say that. She has the right. I respect the
Well,
right for her to say that.
I do
But
too.
you know
And I
what?
guess my question for
No,
Billie,
wait. I'm not done.
go ahead.
Wait. I'm not done. We only got 2 minutes. Um, she's got the right to say that. I respect and I give her the right to say that. She said it. Now people are saying things against her. Suck it up, Buttercup. You said it. Now you're going to get it. No one's going to jail. No one's getting in trouble. But guess what? You're going to get the payback for it. And it's making her look really, really stupid.
Well, I don't.
My opinion.
Look, I want to have empathy for Billie Eilish because here's the thing. It's not
Her heart was
fault.
in the right place.
Yeah, I think she's trying.
I know you so good, son.
Hold on. It's not that her heart was in the right place. It's that she's trying to have empathy and hold space for people that feel marginalized in a world that's moving very quickly and it feels like they might be left behind.
Gotcha.
And that's all I'm going to say.
And all I'm going to say is actions speak louder than words. So if you feel that strongly about it, do something about it. In other words, shut up or give it back. And they've been saying that all week. Shut up about the land or give it back.
Or empathy would if we acknowledge instead of stopping the conversation and acting like this land isn't stolen. By the way, all land is stolen and has been stolen at one point or another or conquered.
See?
Okay,
Right.
so just frame it a little different. That we can recognize that the land that we're on was taken at some point, and we are privileged enough to be on this land. So let's be good shepherds of this land.
There you go.
All
I have
right.
no problem with what you just said. That was
Neither
good,
do
son.
I. Thank you. I appreciate that, Dad.
I love you. Our time is up.
Thank you to our listening audience. This is Discussions with Dad, Faith, Blood, and the in-between. Until next time, have a good one.
Love you. Bye-bye.
Love you. Bye.